In about a month's time, we're likely to see a Labour win in the UK general election, and yeah, that means there's going to be lots of woke insanity in the coming years. However, for those of us who are more patriotically inclined, this may actually be a good thing. I've spoken before on this channel how election cycles don't really matter. One, because the Labour Party and the Tories are quite similar these days anyway, but two, because the country is going through a major cultural change. And the average person needs to wake up and realise that the same old conversations about economic growth and GDP and personal liberty are for a bygone era. We've got much bigger fish to fry now. Britain, like much of the Western world now, has been taken over by a globalist elite that wants to move people from every corner of the earth to major Western cities to feed their economic machine, and to hell with it with the host cultures. Now, while many people across Europe are waking up to this and realising they should have a say on the fate of their own country, not enough people are waking up yet in the UK. However, the incoming Labour MPs may expedite that process for us with women like this.
Shout so much more and say 20,000 is not enough, 30,000 is not enough. Keep going until we really are at saturation point, because what does it matter if we have to wait another week for a hospital visit, or if our class sizes are slightly bigger, or if our city is slightly fuller? What does it matter if things are slightly more challenging, if we have to pay a little bit more into the system? Surely it is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, to keep allowing infinity migrants to come here, what does it matter if it's another week or two on top of the month you already have to wait to see a GP? What does it matter if your cost of living continues to go up, if you can't afford housing and young people can't even get on the ladder? And what does it matter if half your pay packet a month has to disappear to fulfill the multicultural vision of detached elites who don't live with the consequences of the policies they enact? So it seems now we're going to have to learn the hard way, while being gaslit by our own media too, by the way. Just take Nigel Farage's comments recently about there being a problem within the Islamic community and how many of them don't adhere to British values. Now, these are relatively uncontroversial comments. Tony Blair said the same thing, Majid Nawaz has said the same thing, even Trevor Phillips, who was interviewing him, has said the same thing. So while these views are held across the political spectrum and by the majority of UK voters too, according to a YouGov poll, that doesn't stop Labour MPs jumping on the outrage machine for some social clout.
I totally condemn Nigel Farage's recent comments during an interview with Trevor Phillips. Farage's comments were deeply offensive and Islamophobic. Here in Wickham we have a thriving Muslim community which makes a positive contribution in so many different ways to our local society and our local economy. I've just been speaking to residents here in Deeds Grove, where there are people from a whole range of different religions and ethnicities living together side by side. And I heard real concern about the divisive rhetoric of Nigel Farage. And I will stand against Islamophobia and discrimination in every form. And I will strain every sinew to bring communities together, not to divide them.
Now, as much as this lady is trying to give an impassioned speech, it comes across as a hostage-style video and there's someone with a machine gun behind the camera. And that's because this is exactly how progressive ideology works. You simply must hold the line of woke utopian idealism, otherwise you'll be shamed and covered in opprobrium. And this lady gives the usual nonsense about standing against discrimination, but will she call out the Muslim community for their views on gay people? I highly doubt it. What about if there's another grooming gang scandal in her constituency? Do you think she's the sort of brave MP that will put her head above the parapet and take all the flak to reveal an awful crime? Of course she won't. We already know that Labour MPs are more than happy to sacrifice children for their woke ideological purity. Now, there's something else that you might have noticed about these two clips. They are both women. I'm sure these women are perfectly nice in their day-to-day lives, but it does tell us something about the modern Labour Party and modern leftism. Now, that realisation is that while you can have some strong women in politics, Margaret Thatcher for example, most of these women have this almost toxic motherhood about them. They almost view migrants as little babies who just need to be protected. They can't ever see that they might cause a problem. They simply go back to the ideology, and if you don't go on board with it, they'll simply try and character assassinate you with all the words of vile, abhorrent and evil and so forth. And it is this toxic motherhood that's soon going to rule the country, something that seems to welcome everything alien and despise everything traditional. However, this maybe needs to happen so more people can wake up. In chaos, you often find yourself. And that seems to me what needs to happen in the UK. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts down below and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.